Did you know that 92% of seniors over 70 unknowingly follow habits that silently raise stress and damage their hearts? Some everyday routines that feel harmless are quietly putting your cardiovascular health at risk. Let's uncover them now. Hello everyone, my name is Matthew Miller. Welcome to Matthew Miller TV, the channel where we explore practical, science-backed ways to live longer, healthier, and happier lives. If you care about your health and well-being, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss valuable insights designed to help you and your loved ones. After 70, your heart is one of the most important organs to protect. It powers every moment of your day, keeps your energy stable, and supports your overall health. But many seniors unknowingly repeat stress-inducing habits that elevate blood pressure, increase inflammation, and strain the heart. Today, I'll reveal 6 common mistakes most seniors overlook and, more importantly, simple strategies you can use to reduce stress, protect your heart, and feel stronger every day. To understand the full impact, let's dive into each mistake one by one. We'll start with the first habit that nearly all seniors. Mistake number 1, chronic worrying about minor issues. Let's begin with Martha, a 70-year-old grandmother from Arizona. Martha is healthy overall, but she spends most of her days worrying about things big and small. If her daughter doesn't return a phone call right away, she fears something terrible happened. If the mail is late, she thinks her Social Security check got lost. Even when everything is fine, she lies awake at night replaying conversations or stressing about whether she locked the door. To her, these worries feel like normal concerns, but over time, this pattern of chronic worrying chips away at her peace of mind and, more dangerously, it puts heavy strain on her heart. Worry might seem harmless because it's all in the mind, but the body doesn't see it that way. Every time Martha feels anxious, her body reacts as if she's in danger. Her heart rate spikes, her blood vessels tighten, and stress hormones flood her bloodstream. Over time, this repeated stress response creates real, physical damage. According to the American Heart Association, chronic anxiety and worry can raise blood pressure, increase inflammation in the arteries, and double the risk of cardiovascular disease in older adults. A 2021 study from Harvard Medical School even found that seniors who constantly worry about small issues are more likely to develop atrial fibrillation, a dangerous heart rhythm disorder. So why does this happen so often among people in their 70s? Part of it is habit. Many seniors grew up in households where worrying was considered a sign of responsibility. If you don't worry, you don't care enough. Over decades, the brain becomes conditioned to look for problems even when none exists. There's also the reality of aging. Retirement often brings more unstructured time, and when the mind has less to focus on, it can turn inward and magnify small concerns. Add to that health changes, financial adjustments, or even the loneliness of children moving away, and it's no surprise that many older adults, like Martha, fall into a cycle of constant worrying. The danger, however, is that worry doesn't solve problems, it just creates new ones. In Martha's case, her blood pressure readings began creeping higher at each doctor's visit. She started experiencing more frequent chest tightness and fatigue. At first she thought it was just getting older, but her cardiologist explained that her heart was under unnecessary strain. Your body doesn't know the difference between worrying about a lay bill and facing real danger, he said. To your heart, worry is stress, and stress is pressure. The good news is that chronic worrying isn't permanent, it's a habit that can be changed. The first step is awareness. Simply noticing when you're worrying about something minor is powerful. Seniors can ask themselves, is this something I can control or something I'm imagining? If it's out of their control, the key is letting it go. Practical solutions can make a huge difference. Relaxation techniques, like deep breathing or mindfulness meditation, have been proven to calm the nervous system and lower blood pressure. Many seniors find that keeping a worry journal helps writing down concerns before bed so the mind can release them instead of holding them all night. Staying engaged in meaningful activities also reduces idle worry. Whether it's gardening, volunteering, or playing cards with friends, purpose keeps the mind occupied in healthier ways. Martha eventually learned to shift her approach. With the encouragement of her doctor, she joined a local yoga for seniors class, which taught her breathing exercises. She also started writing down her worries in a small notebook each evening, which surprisingly helped her sleep better. Slowly, her anxiety lessened, and her heart symptoms improved. Her family noticed she smiled more, laughed more, and didn't let little issues ruin her day. The takeaway is clear. Worrying about small things may feel like being careful, but in reality it silently wears down the heart. At 70, protecting your emotional balance is just as important as eating well or taking medication. By learning to let go of unnecessary worry, you free your heart from invisible stress and give yourself the gift of peace. So the next time you catch yourself stressing about whether you forgot to water the plant or whether the neighbor's dog barked too much, pause and remind yourself, your heart deserves calm, not constant alarm. Life after 70 should be about joy, connection, and vitality, not endless cycles of what if. Mistake number 2. Skipping relaxation or downtime. Meet Linda, a 72-year-old retired nurse from Florida. Linda has always been a doer. Even in retirement, she fills her days with endless tasks: cleaning the house, running errands, babysitting her grandchildren, attending church events, and organizing community fundraisers. On the surface, it looks like she's thriving. People admire her energy, calling her super grandma. But what they don't see is that Linda never gives herself a break. She rushes from one responsibility to another, often eating meals on the go, checking her to-do list late at night, and waking up early to get a head start on chores. Relaxation, in her mind, feels like wasting time. At first, this might seem admirably if you're all staying active is good for health, but constant busyness without downtime is a recipe for stress overload. The heart, like any muscle, needs periods of rest to function well. When Linda keeps pushing without pausing, her body remains stuck in a state of fight or flight. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline flood her system, raising her blood pressure, quickening her heart rate, and putting extra wear on her arteries. Over time, this pattern damages the cardiovascular system. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC), chronic stress is directly linked to higher risks of heart attack, arrhythmias, and stroke, conditions that disproportionately affect adults over 65. Skipping relaxation also weakens the body's ability to repair itself. Sleep quality suffers, inflammation increases, and the immune system struggles. A 2020 study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that older adults who reported rarely taking time to relax had a 37% higher risk of cardiovascular events compared to those who practiced regular downtime activities like reading, meditation, or gentle stretching. Essentially, not giving yourself a break is like driving your car at high speed without ever letting the engine cool. It will eventually overheat. So why do so many seniors fall into this mistake? A lot of it has to do with mindset. Many older Americans grew up believing that rest equals laziness. They spent decades working hard, raising families, and taking pride in productivity. Even in retirement, that work-driven mentality lingers. Seniors like Linda often feel guilty if they're not doing something useful. Some worry that slowing down makes them look old or dependent. Others simply don't know how to relax because they've never practiced it. It feels uncomfortable to sit quietly or engage in leisure without a purpose. There's also a cultural element. Mistake number 3. Overconsumption of caffeine or stimulants. Picture James, a 71-year-old retired engineer from Texas. Every morning, he starts his day with not 1, but 3 large mugs of coffee. In the afternoon, he often reaches for an energy drink or another cup of coffee to stay sharp. James tells himself that caffeine is harmless after all. Everyone drinks coffee. For him, it's become a daily ritual. He enjoys the warmth of his morning brew and the jolt of energy it gives him. But over time, James started noticing that his heart felt like it was racing more often, especially at night. He sometimes struggled to fall asleep, tossing and turning until the early hours. He brushed it off as just getting older. What James didn't realize is that his caffeine habit was putting unnecessary strain on his heart. Caffeine is one of the most widely consumed stimulants in the US. While moderate amounts are generally safe, even beneficial for some people, too much caffeine can be dangerous, especially for seniors. Caffeine stimulates the nervous system, making the heart beat faster and raising blood pressure. For a 25-year-old, this extra stimulation might not matter, but for someone in their 70s, whose cardiovascular system has already endured decades of wear and tear, the risks are far higher. Studies from the National Institutes of Health (NIH) have shown that excessive caffeine intake in older adults can trigger arrhythmias, irregular heartbeats, elevate blood pressure, and increase the risk of heart palpitations. In fact, the Mayo Clinic warns that for individuals with heart disease or hypertension, high caffeine consumption can directly increase the likelihood of cardiac events. Why does this mistake happen so often? Part of the reason is cultural. Coffee has long been celebrated in American life, from morning routines to social gatherings at diners and coffee shops. Seniors like James often began drinking coffee in their 20s and never stopped. Over time, it became more than just a beverage. It became a comforting ritual. Add to that the rise of energy drinks and sodas marketed as pick, and it's easy to see how caffeine consumption can creep upward without people realizing it. Another factor is fatigue. Many older adults experience lower energy levels due to changes in metabolism, medication, side effects, or poor sleep quality. Instead of addressing the root causes of fatigue, they turn to caffeine for a quick fix. The problem is, this creates a cycle. Caffeine temporarily boosts energy but later interferes with sleep, leading to more fatigue, and the cycle. Mistake number 4. Holding grudges or avoiding forgiveness. Eleanor, a 72-year-old grandmother from Ohio, seemed like the picture of health on the outside. She walked daily, cooked nutritious meals, and had regular checkups, but inside, she carried a heavy burden. For over a decade, she harbored resentment toward her sister after a bitter family disagreement. Every time she thought about the argument, her chest tightened, her mood soured, and her stress levels spiked. She told herself, "I'll never forgive her after what she did." Eleanor believed she was protecting herself by holding on to her anger. In reality, she was slowly harming her heart. What many don't realize is that emotional stress, especially when it's chronic, directly impacts heart health. Studies from the American Heart Association show that people who struggle with chronic anger and unforgiveness have higher risks of high blood pressure, heart disease, and even heart attack. When you hold a grudge, your body stays in a state of stress. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline remain elevated, keeping your heart rate up and blood pressure higher than normal. Over time, this constant strain weakens the cardiovascular system. Why does this mistake happen so often among seniors? As we age, life naturally brings more opportunities for conflict, family disagreements, friendships that sour, or regrets about the past. Seniors often replay these hurts over and over, believing the grudge gives them a sense of control or justice. But psychology tells us the opposite is true. Resentment keeps you tied to the pain. In fact, research from Stanford University's Forgiveness Project found that those who practice forgiveness experience lower stress, better sleep, and even improved immune function. For Eleanor, her grudge didn't just affect her emotions, it showed up in her body. She often felt exhausted, had frequent headaches, and noticed her blood pressure creeping up despite her healthy diet and exercise. Her doctor explained that stress doesn't always come from external problems, it can be generated internally through negative emotions. Holding on to anger is like carrying a backpack filled with bricks. The longer you carry it, the more strain you put on your body, especially your heart. The consequences can be severe. Studies have linked unforgiveness and chronic hostility to a higher risk of heart attack and stroke. One study published in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine found that individuals who reported high levels of anger were twice as likely to develop coronary heart disease compared to those with lower anger levels. The reason is clear. Constant stress constricts blood vessels, raises blood pressure, and increases inflammation, all of which accelerate heart damage. So why do we resist forgiveness even when it harms us? Often it's because forgiveness feels like letting someone off the hook. Seniors may. Mistake number 5. Lack of social connection. Harold, a 74-year-old widower from Arizona, used to live a busy life. He worked as a school principal, surrounded by students, teachers, and colleagues every day. After retiring, and especially after his wife passed away, his daily routine changed drastically. Now, most mornings were spent alone at the kitchen table, sipping coffee while staring out the window. Phone calls from his children were rare because they lived in different states and his neighbors were polite but distant. Harold thought to himself, "I'm fine. I enjoy the quiet." But over time, his days felt emptier, his motivation dwindled, and he noticed his blood pressure readings climbing higher. Harold's story is far more common than many realize. According to the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, nearly 1 in 4 adults over age 65 is socially isolated. For seniors over 70, this risk is even greater due to retirement, the loss of friends or a spouse, or mobility limitations, or children living far away. The consequences of loneliness go far beyond emotions, they directly affect heart health. Research from the American Heart Association shows that people who experience chronic loneliness have a 29% higher risk of heart disease and a 32% higher risk of stroke. Why does lack of social connection harm the heart so deeply? The answer lies in stress. When people feel isolated, their body produces more stress hormones like cortisol. This leads to higher blood pressure, increased inflammation, and a weakened immune system, all factors that put extra strain on the cardiovascular system. Loneliness has even been compared to smoking 15 cigarettes a day in terms of health risk. For someone at age 70 or older, that kind of burden can be devastating. The reasons seniors fall into this mistake are understandable. Retirement can shrink social circles overnight. Family members may live hours or even states away. Friends move to assisted living facilities, or they pass away. Some seniors also convince themselves that they don't want to bother others or that younger generations are too busy. This mindset, while common, only deepens the cycle of isolation. Harold thought being alone was just a natural part of aging, but over time he noticed subtle changes. He felt more anxious at night, struggled with sleep, and even his appetite decreased. During his annual physical, his doctor explained that loneliness was likely playing a role in his rising blood pressure and declining mood. Harold was shocked. He never thought that something as simple as missing conversation or companionship could hurt his heart. The good news is that solutions exist, and they don't require drastic lifestyle changes. Research has shown that regular social interaction, even just a few hours a week, can significantly reduce stress and improve heart health. A 2021 study published in the Journal of the American Geriatrics Society found that seniors who engaged in weekly group activities had lower blood pressure, improved mood, and even better cognitive health. For Harold, the turning point came when a neighbor invited him to join a local senior community center. At first, he hesitated. I don't want to sit around playing bingo all day, he thought. But he quickly discovered the center offered far more: group fitness classes, book clubs, cooking lessons, and even travel outings. Slowly, Harold began attending twice a week, then 3 times. He started laughing again, making new friends, and feeling a sense of purpose return. Within months, his blood pressure improved, his sleep became more restful, and he even found himself smiling more often. So what's the takeaway for seniors over 70? You don't need a massive social circle to protect your heart. You simply need meaningful connections. That could be regular phone calls with family, joining a walking group in your neighborhood, volunteering at a local food bank, or even connecting with friends online. The key is consistency. Just like exercise, the benefits of social connection grow with regular practice. It's also important to rethink how you view asking for company. Many seniors worry about being a burden, but the truth is, most family and friends feel honored when asked to spend time together. Something as simple as inviting a neighbor for tea, calling an old friend, or joining a community class can be a powerful act of self-care for your heart. Harold now says, I thought aging meant shrinking into my own little world. I was wrong. Staying connected gave me back my energy and my health. His story is proof that it's never too late to rebuild a social network and protect your heart in the process. The lesson is clear. Isolation is not just a feeling, it as a hidden stressor that can damage your heart. By reaching out, staying connected, and investing in relationships, you not only improve your emotional well-being but also give your heart the protection it needs to keep beating strong for years to come. So, mistake number 6. Ignoring physical activity to manage stress. George, a 71-year-old retired mechanic from Ohio, had always been active in his younger years. His work kept him moving, lifting, and problem-solving. But after retirement, his daily routine slowed. Mornings were spent watching TV, afternoons reading the newspaper, and evenings sitting on the porch. He often told himself, I'm too old for exercise now. My body just can't handle it. What he didn't realize was that avoiding physical activity wasn't just affecting his muscles and joints, it was silently putting extra stress on his heart. At first glance, skipping exercise might not seem directly tied to stress, but in reality, it plays a major role. Physical activity is one of the body's most natural ways to regulate stress. When you move, your body releases endorphins, often called feel-good hormones, that counteract stress hormones like cortisol. Exercise also helps lower blood pressure, improve circulation, and reduce inflammation, all of which are critical for heart health. By avoiding movement, George was unknowingly depriving his body of one of its most powerful stress management tools. The consequences of inactivity are staggering. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC), adults over 65 who remain sedentary have a 30 to 40% higher risk of heart disease compared to those who stay active. A study from the Mayo Clinic further revealed that physical inactivity is as dangerous to health as smoking or obesity. For seniors specifically, inactivity not only weakens the heart but also contributes to anxiety, poor sleep, and cognitive decline, all of which intensify stress levels. Why do so many older adults fall into this mistake? Part of it is fear. Many seniors, like George, worry about injuring themselves or believe that exercise requires intense gym workouts. Others assume that aches, stiffness, or fatigue mean they're too old to move. Some also underestimate how quickly an activity compounds days of rest turn into weeks. And before long, the habit of avoiding movement feels normal. Culturally, many in their 70s grew up seeing exercise as something reserved for athletes or younger people, not everyday seniors. George's health began to decline subtly. He gained weight, his energy dropped, and his stress levels climbed. He noticed he became easily irritated and had trouble falling asleep at night. At his yearly checkup, his doctor pointed out higher cholesterol, increased blood pressure, and signs of prediabetes. When George asked, "What can I do besides take more pills?" his doctor replied, "Start moving again. Your heart is begging for it." The turning point came when George's daughter suggested something simple: daily walks around the neighborhood. At first, George scoffed. He thought walking wasn't real exercise, but he gave it a try, starting with just 10 minutes. Within weeks he noticed his mood lifting. The act of moving outdoors, seeing neighbors, and breathing fresh air eased his stress. Gradually his stamina improved, and he extended his walks to 20, then 30 minutes. Soon after, he joined a Silver Sneakers fitness class designed for seniors, where gentle stretching and light cardio made exercise fun and social. The results were undeniable. George slept better. His blood pressure began to normalize, and his cardiologist noted a remarkable improvement in his heart health. Most importantly, George felt in control again, not trapped by stress, but empowered by the simple act of moving. The lesson here is clear. Ignoring physical activity is one of the most damaging stress-inducing habits seniors can make, but the solution doesn't require marathons or heavy lifting. Walking, light yoga, tai chi, swimming, or even dancing in the living room are all effective and safe ways for seniors over 70 to keep their hearts strong and stress under control. The American Heart Association recommends at least 150 minutes of moderate activity per week. That is just 30 minutes, 5 days a week. The takeaway: movement is medicine, especially for the heart. For seniors, staying active is not about athletic achievements. It's about preserving independence, improving mood, and protecting the heart from the silent burden of stress. As George discovered, it's never too late to start. So the next time you feel tempted to sit for hours in front of the TV, remember, every step, every stretch, every small activity counts. Your body was made to move, and your heart thrives when you let it. Don't let fear or rage hold you back, because the choice to stay active today could be the very thing that keeps your heart strong for many years to come. We've just explored 6 hidden habits that silently add stress to your life and put unnecessary strain on your heart. Chronic worrying about minor issues, skipping relaxation, overconsuming caffeine, holding grudges, lacking social connection, and ignoring physical activity. Each one may seem small on its own, but together they can create a powerful storm that damages not only your peace of mind, but also your cardiovascular health. The important truth to remember is this: you have the power to change these habits. Stress may feel inevitable at age 70 and beyond, but it doesn't have to control your heart. By letting go of needless worries, making time to relax, keeping your caffeine intake in check, choosing forgiveness over grudges, staying socially connected, and keeping your body moving, you give your heart the best gift possible: calm/resilience and strength. Even small adjustments can lead to lasting results. Just one phone call to a friend, one 20-minute walk, or one deep breathing session can shift your body out of stress mode and into healing mode. Your heart doesn't need perfection, it needs consistency, care, and compassion. So, as you move forward, ask yourself, which one of these habits am I willing to let go of today? The answer could transform not only your health but also the joy you experience each day. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 6 habits resonated with you the most? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, share it with friends and family who might also benefit. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more health tips designed especially for seniors. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Here's to a calmer mind, a stronger heart, and a healthier, more joyful life after 70. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.